Greetings, my divine co-creators. This is your girl, the Sage, coming through. It's a little bright out here, so we're gonna keep the shades on. Okay, I would like to look at you directly. Uh, like you to see my eyes somewhat when I speak, but this is what we got to do today. So, have you ever been in a position where you're talking about some things and almost everything you talk about somehow gets brought up in that day in some form or fashion? I don't know if y'all experience that, but I do, and it happens quite often. And maybe I'm just more aware of it. I know some people, they're like, oh, I was just talking about that, or we were just doing that, or we were just doing that. And I notice I get really excited about it when that happens, and I'm like, I'll interrupt and I'll be like, oh my God, this just happened, or oh my God, that relates to that, that relates to that. And you get to be all over the place at some point, right? And it's like, integrating your spirituality into a dynamic world that has so many layers to it that you have to peel back. It can be very difficult to express your spiritual experience or explain your spiritual experience to others, or find people that connect with you, that see things in ways that you see them. You know, we seek that connection, and sometimes we, would rather be alone than not be able to have that connection, right? And I want to be, okay, deserve is not the word I'm looking for, but I'm going to say that for now. You deserve to have connection. You deserve to have love. You deserve to experience it. But you also must be it first and foremost. When you come in as a child, you are it. You are love. You don't have to try to be it, but because when we go through life and we grow and we imitate others and we see what society is accepts, and we find little limitations here and there that try to censor your being. And so at some point you never really get to know who you are, because you're in a world that wants you to be like it. And they like, look, you want to be different? What? And though they'll praise you when enough people agree that your difference is cool, that your difference makes them feel good, your difference is nothing to fear, then they can get on board. But until they know you, until they know your being, you're all over the place. Like, to them, you're all over the place. They don't know who you are. They might be afraid of you, because like, what are you talking about, right? And sometimes we make our spiritual path someone else's responsibility, right? We get upset because, people don't necessarily understand or vibe, or they don't see you, and you feel rejected, and there's so many levels of feeling that one may experience on this path. You feel loneliness. They say it's lonely at the top, right? But it's not really lonely at the top. It's only lonely on the way to the top, because once you get there, you'll see all your kinfolk. You will experience all in which you need to experience. But sometimes you have to take the lone journey that's different, that's away from everyone else. Sometimes you have to be within yourself so that you can come out and be yourself, you know? And you don't have to explain your experience to others because you just know that they're not experiencing it the way you are. And all I could do is give you, for me, all I could do is give you some tips and share with you insights on how to unlock that experience for yourself. But I cannot give it to you. I can't describe it to you the best way that I'm experiencing it. It's just indescribable. You know, the metaphysical, the divine, the experience of the divine, that's something that if you've never experienced it, if you've never walked around here with an open heart and watched how things flow to you and watch how things magnetically attract to you, watch how people, places, things, expeditions make their pathways open for you, you know, it's like, if you've never experienced that path, it's very difficult to explain to someone that, hey, it's worthy over here. Like, it's fire over here. Like, man, if you come to this party, it's popping. But you can't describe it. You can't explain it. They have to, like, feel it in their heart and feel motivated and driven to be that and do that on their own. And one of the books I'm writing, one of the 25 insights is basically, one of them is, it's your cause cannot become their cause until it's their cause in their heart. It's actually something a little bit different, but I'll save that for when y'all get the book, or when I'm done with the book. I can't remember it quite yet. It was a download, and I wrote it down, and I've been expounding on it over the years. And it was just a description of, you know, their cause cannot be your cause until their cause is it that in the heart, in their heart. And so if they don't have a reason or a season or a belief or any connection to their heart space, their willpower will not follow actions, will not drive or motivate them. And so we try to motivate people by telling them, oh man, I want to tell you, let me tell you. You can't tell people, you got to show people. You got to show people. And then people start showing up. And then some people get bitter, like, oh, you wasn't around when I was on the journey, when I was on the way. Where was you? And it's easy to feel that way. It's real easy to have those negative feelings, unpleasant feelings towards things. But the reality is that is the way that it is. And we shouldn't necessarily hold that against people because they don't know what they don't know. And most people, they operate how the masses operate, and that's what they have reference to. They don't have necessarily reference to someone in this lifetime doing something that is so different that, man, okay, I want to do, like, a very few people that is caught up in the world saw Yeshua the way that he was, like Jesus, for those of you who don't know who I'm referring to. They didn't get on board. They didn't know. They didn't believe it. But some people saw it with their own eyes. He told them, be healed. Don't go tell no one. Go give to the temple and live sin free, right? Basically, he's saying don't go back and doing the things that got you here. Don't follow the path of the heart, right? Don't follow the path of the ego, because that is the paveway for sin. Now, I'm not a person that preaches dogma about sin and things like that, but the description and the iniquities of the heart, right? It's something that blocks you from experiencing the fullness of who you are, your heart, right? If you have iniquities in your mind about anything, it's like you see this bird. If you're a hunter, you're a bird hunter, what you want to go do? You want to get your gun and shoot this beautiful bird? So ain't no what birds safe around you. You know what I mean? But birds represent freedom. They fly. They bring beauty to the sound of the universe. We're out here, or the world rather. You know, we're out here and we're hearing the birds chirp and they're singing to us. In the morning they sing. At night the crickets sing. You know, it's like they take turns, all these sounds. It's like everything has a sound. This is the sound of nature, right? And we want to disrupt nature by disrupting nature, but we don't realize that we're doing it. Like if you grow up in a family of hunters, you're not going to feel like hunting is wrong. It's not until you experience the other side that you're like, wait a minute, maybe we need to reserve this for a time where we need food or something, not just for freaking show. Oh, I want to have this stuffed animal on my wall and it's real. I want to brag about it. Like, that shit is weird to me, right? Taxidermy? So weird. You know, killing beautiful animals for not to live, not eating to live, not none of that, just to put it as a trophy on your wall. And I remember there was a man that I met through a good friend of mine at one point. She really helped me transition very well here to Arizona. And she met a guy, and I went to visit her. He had a huge house, right? She just loved the man. She was super head over heels for him. And he was a taxidermy. He did taxidermy or whatever. And he was so excited about it. He even started teaching kids with cancer, kids that have like fatal things going on, because it was close to him home. He started teaching them how to hunt, right? And so in his mind, he's doing this worthy thing. Hey, I am doing this for a cause. And that's what we do. We justify who we are by putting a cause behind it, right? And that's where that became his cause. Like, that's what brought his heart and integrated him into the matter. It's not a matter of right and wrong at this point. The point is that his heart kept him connected to that he was doing, right? But as you continue to follow the path of the heart, you start to see that things fall away from you. Desires fall away. Certain things that you once enjoyed falls away. And the next thing you know, you look up and you're like, wait a minute, I don't do that no more, or I'm not interested in that no more. That doesn't motivate me anymore. That doesn't tickle me the same way. A man doing this doesn't tickle my fancy the way that it used to. That I actually look at you crazy. You know, it's like, I actually, I feel this way around this energy. I don't like it. I enjoy this. I enjoy being here. I enjoy experiencing this. And you start to see the 10 commandments less as commandments and law, and more like how he talks about in Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. He talks about it being a covenant. Okay, more like, this is what you do when you do follow the heart of the divine. This is what happens. This is who you are when you do follow the path of the divine. I'm starting to be able to see right off the bat if you're following the path of the heart. And I could tell if you're not in your heart. If you're constantly angry, you're constantly boggled down with negative emotions. Everything somebody does irritates you. Everything that people's human existence irritates you. Now, we all go through this point where that is the case. Like, it's like, yo, humans are freaking retarded. Why do they do this? But you realize that there are steps to enlightenment. There's steps to the process. There's steps on this journey, and nobody gets there overnight. But also, if they don't know why they're getting there, or they're not awakened to it, they don't have an example or a reference or anything like that, then and their references are like them, or they see people that give in to these feelings or give in to this, or they see that and they may see it in somebody they respect. So what do? It feels okay, it feels justified to imitate it, right? But it doesn't make it that it's the path of the heart. It doesn't make it that it's the divine way. It doesn't make that the highest experience. It doesn't. It just makes it so that's what you have access to. And so when you understand that there's greater access and you feel the example, you see it, and you see people living the example, you experience yourself, you put yourself in those environments, you start to see things a lot differently, and things show up different. But we on this spiritual path, who might be a lot further along than others, we must honor our own soul so that we can be that example, right? It's really, I'm not doing it to be the example. I'm experiencing it. This is what I know and want to experience. This is what I came here to do so that I could help and serve. That's something that's always been on my heart. I am a servant at heart. People say, I'm not serving anyone. People have ego. And it's like servitude comes on many levels, right? Can you give when you have nothing to give? People say, don't give from an empty cup. How do you know your cup is empty? Sometimes your cup isn't empty. Your physical cup may seem empty, but your spiritual cup is full. And so when you pour that over, you're pouring into another person. Your cup runneth over. And it has nothing to do with the physical. So if I got $100 to my name and this person needs some money, right? They need $20, right? Okay, here's $20. This is a huge sacrifice for me. It's nothing to this man walking past on the street who got, millions of dollars, right? And we could sit here and say, they must be doing something right because they're rich. That does not mean that they're doing something right. That means that they are following the pathway and doing things. They're doing things in the way in which the world has taught, the world what's available. The most difficult thing, it's not hard to access money. Let me tell you something. I've had many, many opportunities to make bukus of money, okay? I've had many opportunities and I've turned them down, not because I despise money. I don't want to have money. I really don't want to agree to the system of money, right? I don't agree with the system in the way that it is. However, at some level, there was an agreement, and I'm here on the timeline where that agreement takes place, right? And so here, this is the systems that we're integrating, and we don't have to lose who we are to become a part of the system. The system loses who it is when it comes in contact with the divine. You know what I'm saying? When the vibration is higher, they lose. A person who is not programmed and developed in that realm, right? It's going to be very difficult for them to access the unseen. Very difficult. And when you understand that their work has to be done, you have to be willing to follow the path of the heart first. Then when you're given the responsibility of, let's say, money, millions, billions of dollars, you're not in a space where you're hoarding the money. Now you're doing everything to keep the money. You're in a space where, ah, I know who I am, and who I am is what I do with this money, right? Who I am is what I do with this. Who I am is who I am, who I be. Who am I? You know, who am I being? And that's who I am at that particular time, right? Who we are here is changing. It changes because we learn, and we learn different aspects or remember different aspects about ourselves. But we're not, but where we are and where we are at the core, our existence, that part is unchanging. It's so vast that it's unchanging. Like, it's everything. It's the energy is everything. There's no place where there's no energy. There's no place where there's nothing. Everything is something, and something is also nothing, but it's everything. And it sounds so confusing. It's like a whole dichotomy to it, but it really is beyond this, the as above. So like, when you get into the realm, you start to understand things differently. Your spirit of discernment changes, you know. There was a video where I watched the other day, that I did last year. I'm posting all my videos that I had on Patreon. I'm making them public, most of them at least. And I'm going to put new things on there. But right now I'm cycling through that and bringing that out, because right now it just needs to be shared. And I care more about it being shared than hoarding it so I could get paid and until, you know, whatever, right? So it's one of those things where I recognize that the ways in which I've been moving I've been going back and forth until I realized, man, okay, I keep putting myself back into the world after I've experienced freedom. And then I'll get back into the world and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I got to get out. I got to get out. Once you've experienced the unseen, once you've experienced this world beyond, it's very difficult to be in this world. And that's why I understand when people get frustrated with humans and their craziness and all this stuff. But it's really, as you learn to have grace for yourself, you begin to have grace for others. I don't have to interact with people the way that they want me to interact with them. I don't have to do that. The people get mad when you don't follow the unspoken rules about social structure and communication and all that stuff. I don't owe you a goddamn thing. To be straight up, I don't owe you nothing. But what I choose to share, what I choose to give to you, what I choose to share, can we honor that space? You know, people, I know the world, most people are gonna disagree with the idea of divinity because it can be inconsistent. Extremely inconsistent, extremely wild. It's an insane path because you can't explain what's happening all the time. And so it's like, you know what? You have to put your own, you got to you got to know what's happening to you, that what's happening, what they say is happening to you is not really what's happening. What's happening to you is what's happening, and you know what's happening. They don't have to know what's happening to you. They don't have to know that this move is because of this, and this. Because none of those things, none of those reasons matter. None of those things matter because all of those are just what it looks like here. But what's actually happening in the unseen, in the above, this is the below. What's happening in the unseen is greater, grander. There's a bigger picture because this had to happen so that this could happen. And if this wouldn't have happened, then this couldn't have happened. And so that's the sort of chaos that happens between, you know, people battling and free will and things like that. It's just a whole lot going on. It's very difficult to make sense of it. until you follow the spiritual path, until you tap into the unseen world of that religions tell you to stay away from. There's a reason for that. There's a whole consciousness that's set up to keep you from experiencing who you are, because they are at risk of losing control, the control that they've had. If you see the end of Matrix, you realize the therapist, he was like trying to keep him in the, in the Matrix. And when he broke free, and him and Trinity, Neo and Trinity returned, because they realized it wasn't the one, and it was a man. They realized it was a joining of the divine feminine was really the one, but it really wasn't the one. It was both that had to come to integrate together in this experience here. They had to integrate the energies together in order to what they described as painting the sky. And so at the end, when they came into his office, he's like, what are you going to do? You're going to come to wake everybody up? And they're like, no. And he's like, what? So if they would have told him, yeah, we coming to wake all your people up, you ain't never going to get no business ever again. You're done. You're out of here. Then they're like, whoa. Now they're going to fight you. Now it's going to be like the agents. They've been fighting the whole movie because they've been in resistance to this energy. And it's like, you don't have to give life to the energy. You don't even have to pay attention to that energy. That energy does not even have to become a part of your makeup. It doesn't have to stay there. When you transcend, like I said, certain things start to fall away. It falls away. It's nothing perfect. It doesn't mean you're not going to experience friction. It doesn't mean you're not going to have challenges. It doesn't mean that you're going to be living in this world super free. You can be free in your mind, and you can live in this world, and you can experience freedom. However, it takes a lot of work to remain in a high frequency state. People, sometimes we choose to come in the world so we can share, so we can be, sometimes we choose to come back so that we can have an experience, gain wisdom about it, and bring insight about it. Some of us have chosen that path, right? Not all of us have chosen the same paths. And we have to honor and be okay with the differences that we choose on our path. And we all, no matter what our cause is, no matter what, we have to honor our heart. We have to. It's a must. And I know that for a lot of people, that concept is like, because what is the heart? Something stupid that make you do stupid things. No, it doesn't make you do stupid things. It just appears stupid. But later on, you start to see and unfold. You start to see, well, wow, if that wouldn't have happened, this wouldn't have happened. If I wouldn't have did that, if I wouldn't have followed my heart to do this, then this wouldn't have happened. If I wouldn't have did this, oh, wow, all of this is connected. And you start to see the divine dance and the flow, and you start to appreciate things differently. And so that's really what's on my heart to share today. Be water, my friends. Be water.